Hey, yo, what's up? It's your boy KLA Cloud the Wanderer. And yeah, man, I thought about making another video reaction. And what caught my interest um, was dating a female bodybuilder. What if you dated a female bodybuilder? How would that be? And so I got some videos you could check out and yeah, give my thoughts on it. Hold it for a second.
It's really hard to date as a bodybuilder. As a single bodybuilder, you have time to do basically everything that you need. Cardio, work, go to the gym, meal prep. You have the self-sufficiency and the discipline to do all of this by yourself. But when it comes down to dating, you have to find someone who matches your lifestyle. Oftentimes, a lot of bodybuilders go for other bodybuilders. But it doesn't mean that you have to date a bodybuilder just because you're a bodybuilder. You just need to find someone that matches your energy and understands your lifestyle. But that's just a different story because understanding the bodybuilding lifestyle is very difficult. Having to be on a strict schedule, the dieting, the emotional part, the physical part. How but in prep, when you have to spend hours at the gym, meal prepping, posing, all the stuff. The emotional side of prep when you get really down. No more date nights. You can't really go out on spontaneous dates like that. Especially in prep when you can't really eat out. And when you get into off-season post-show blues and how your body changes. I'm not saying it's not possible to find someone who understands that. It just takes a really, really special person to understand the bodybuilding lifestyle. This is something that you do love.
Yeah, man. I wanted to just share that because that is not easy. Yeah, not at all. Just trying to understand, bodybuilding in general for me, especially when I interview other bodybuilders and, they tell me about the stuff, the sacrifices that they got to do. Yeah, it's not very easy. I'm not sure if I would want to date a bodybuilder. You know, I, mm, I don't know. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. Because it seemed like the focus is all on them. Really, that's how I see it. Maybe I could be wrong. It's not even easy dating a regular person at times, because you got to for me, I'm just trying to understand who I am, just loving myself, before I could care about somebody else. And so this other person, they in a different lifestyle and, they just really sticking to that. And I've heard stories about bodybuilders that, they were married and, some got separated or divorced. So yeah, man. I mean, I know a lot of you guys, y'all fantasize with these bodybuilder chicks, but things ain't all what it's cracked up to be. I would say that. So, but moving on.
What is your name? Robert? Robert,
Okay, okay.
So I met this guy here, Robert. He was impressed with my physicality and my beauty. I let him know.
Of course.
Athlete, bodybuilder, powerlifter. And he was like, you should pick me up, right? I'm like, for real? I was like, you should pick me up. And he was like, well, you got a dress on. I don't want to, I was like, you want me to brush it over your hand or put it on my toes? He was like, no, I don't want to feel violated. So I'm just going to put it in my arms and pick him up a little bit. Show him some love. Show him what it's like to be in the arms of a We gotta go to work out there.
You'll never forget that. You will never forget that.
Yeah, that was Marcy. I think she goes by the name of Marcy Madness. Yeah, she talks about sessions and stuff like that. She's a bodybuilder. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting picked up by her, but I wouldn't do it, in- being filmed and stuff. That I would rather do that like in private. Yeah, I don't want to be looking emasculating and all that type of stuff. Yeah, man. A chick stronger than you. Imagine you with somebody, you married to them, and there's another clip I would like to show that's based on what I'm talking about. Yeah, so my man right here, his wife is picking him up. Damn, she doing lunges on his brother. I don't know. He's entertained by it, so I can't be mad at him. But I got some other clips to play.
The most true thing you will ever hear about a bodybuilding prep. If you are dating someone at the start of your prep and they are still with you by the end of your prep, you are going to marry that person. There is nothing that will test a relationship like a bodybuilding prep. Why? Especially if you live together. You will be the hangriest monster they've probably ever met, or you've ever met yourself. Your life will pretty much be designated to eating, cardio, and training. And you will pretty much just be a walking ghost. You're not really gonna have the energy to go out and do things, so you're gonna be very isolated, the both of you, if you all do a lot of things together. And if someone can be by your side through that, not complain and support you, that, my friend, is a forever thing. I've literally just been sitting here appreciating the fact that I'm post-show now and can do things with my boyfriend again, and the fact that he's gone through 2 preps with me. He's stuck with me forever. Literally forever. If he ever tried to leave me, I would be packing my bags and going with him.
Yeah, I mean, piggyback on the first video I played, and imagine you have a spouse and she's doing a bodybuilding prep and stuff like that. I mean, turning green on you, and you got to deal with all that type of thing, man. But I mean, you got to know who you with, But sometimes it happens that some people, they didn't start bodybuilding till later on in a marriage, and so the other person, they got to get used to that. You know, I'm telling you, man, it's a different lifestyle. So
It's so funny when you don't give men the reaction they want, because tell me why. This man who I've never spoken to in my life comes up to me at the gym, taps me on the shoulder and goes, "You're looking less buff. It's looking better. Less, it's just looking better." Referring to my arms. And instead of what the fuck kind of response, one, did he think I would say to that? I look him dead in the eyes and I go, "Okay." Just like that. He clearly, that wasn't the reaction he was hoping for. What was he hoping I was going to do? Be like, "Oh my God, thank you. I look better to you, old man. I don't know you. I've never spoken to you in my life." So yeah, now basically my only option is to get absolutely huge. And then now every time I've seen him since this interaction, he completely avoids eye contact. He won't, he acts like he doesn't know I exist. And I'm like, dude, you just said that's just a dumb comment to make to a stranger. "Oh, you're looking a lot better, less buff. It looks better on you." Huh?
my only thing to that is, some guys, they don't know on what to say to a woman, especially somebody that's buff. They'll say anything. I've heard, female bodybuilders, you know, get compliments, unusual compliments, from guys especially and stuff. So, you know, I mean, I think at one time, I shared this, that I seen a bodybuilder at Barnes and Noble, and I was reading a book, and a fitness book, and so she was asking if she could look at that, and I said, well, sure, and And so I just said, hey, you look nice. Like how many days you work out? And then she told me she worked like maybe like 6 days a week, worked out 6 days a week or something like that. Yeah, that was it, you know. I mean, you know, I don't know, man, because there's guys that's weird. They don't really know how to, talk to a woman and stuff like that. So, I would say to you, like, pay them no mind, you know, but guys are weird.
Okay, calling all gym girls, fitness girls, strong girls, what is your experience dating? Because I either intimidate guys, make them feel insecure because I'm strong, or when I say I do lift weights, like, yeah, that's cute, and then they figure out how invested I am, and they're like, yeah, no. And then on the other hand, when I date date a really like gym go kind of guy, sometimes like they're too egotistical, or they have like some crazy anger issue. So I want to hear like your experiences. Yeah.
Uh, you picking the wrong guys. I mean, and then my question to you is why? Well, tell you the truth, it could be the guy as well too. But why are you like making the guys feel intimidated? You know, like just be a woman. Like women, y'all have the luxury of being masculine and feminine at the same time. And men, we just can be feminine, but less masculine. But I think you know why intimidate them? You know, like be more ladylike. That's all I could say. You know, but
Whenever I'm like out in public, I'm always like, oh, like I wonder if people could tell that I like work out, go to the gym, just casual bodybuilder thoughts. But I'm like, meanwhile, it's like this girl go to the gym. Nah, she would never. And I'm like, I don't know if people could tell.
it seemed like she wants some attention. She wants somebody to know that she works out and stuff. Yeah, you know. If I seen her across the street, maybe I'll holler at her. You know, but for there's times when you do speak to some of these women, man. A lot of them they ignore you, especially if you say hello. And it's not everybody. I'm not saying it's everybody, you know, but people, especially these women, man, they can be funny at times, and you just gotta pay them no mind and you know, just keep it moving. So this chick is hitting a punching a watermelon. Like, oh, she's an MMA fighter. Yeah, I seen her on Instagram. I'm like, wow, she just punched. I don't even know if I could do that. Like, just punch a watermelon. Well, how she started doing that? Like, what give her that thought of just doing that? I don't know. That's I forgot her name too. I'm gonna check her name out too.
Y'all, dating as a strong girl can be a real struggle. I know that there are other girls on this platform that know exactly what I'm talking about and can relate to this, so we gotta talk about it. So I powerlift, I lift heavy, very intimidating thing to a lot of men. On the other hand, I also have a great career. I do pretty well for myself. Like, I'm very happy with how hard I've worked in both of those categories to get to where I am now. And I feel like both of those things combined can be very intimidating, very challenging for a lot of men to accept if they are not confident in what they're doing in their life, if they don't feel strong, if they don't feel like really good in their own careers. Like, it's caused problems. This in turn makes the candidate pool for dating for me very small. I don't need you to make more money than me or whatever. I just need you to be confident in your career, doing something you love, etc., etc. Which I feel like a lot of guys are typically honing in on throughout like their 20s and 30s. Like it takes time sometimes. I'm 31, you know, I just really like leaned into this career a couple years ago, so I completely get it. It takes time. But then on the other hand, like with lifting heavy in the gym, often that intimidates dudes as well, because if they're not lifting heavier than me, then they feel challenged, right? Like both of these categories are typically very masculine. Like society has changed a little bit. Like it is what it is. But like this is who I am. I'm a very driven, motivated person. I've always been very like self-motivated, and frankly, like I do have lapse in mindset. I'm a human being. Like I don't always believe in myself, but 9 times out of 10, like my mindset will be stronger than yours, which is why I have accomplished so much in my life. I wholeheartedly believe in myself. But this really like limits the candidate pool, because you have to be okay with both of those. And so the amount of people who can actually deal with this shit are literally like, it's a few, it's up here. A lot of people still figuring it out. And, you know, I have a ticking time clock. I want to have kids one day. It can be a struggle, man. I feel like there's definitely been times where I've tried to diminish all of this just to attract, you know, a certain male or whatever, when in reality, now that I've grown and I'm more confident in myself, and I'm just not going to diminish myself anymore. Let's put it that way. Like I will choose this life 10 times out of 10 because I love both of these categories. I love what I do in my career. I love lifting. Like I need you to be happy with both of those to be able to mesh with me well. Like I'm okay with it. At the end of the day, I'm okay with it, but it means that I'm not going to have a ton of successful relationships with a ton of dudes, and that's fine. I just need one.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if she's really fine with it. I mean, you know, I ain't gonna tell her to stop doing what she doing, but you know, there's guys that they gonna feel intimidated by that. You know, you lift in and then you got a job, pays more. You know, I'm gonna put myself in a scenario. Yeah, I think I probably would be a bit challenged. I'm not gonna lie. I think I would, because you know, and it may not be her, but you know, it can't be two men in a relationship. You know, you can't be masculine and I'm masculine, and we, you know, women nowadays, you know, you, regardless if they're a strong woman or not, you know, you're competing with them, especially like in the workplace, you know. And where I work at, you know, there's a lot of women that's there. Sometimes some of them, they be like getting you to do stuff, like telling you to um giving you orders and all that type of stuff. And you know, I got female supervisors as well. But yeah, in these moments I do feel challenged. I'm not gonna lie, man. You know, as a man, you do feel challenged. I mean, you like strong women, but you know, at the same time, you know, how much do you like strong women? Like to a certain point, you know, but I don't know, you know, you just gotta I don't got no explanation, man, sweetie. I really don't. But you know, I'm sure you'll find your Prince Charming out there. But you know, but that's gonna, I would say that's gonna be tough, you know. So yeah, let me see.
Ini nggak kayak biasanya ya teman-teman, keras banget. Tuh. Yang mana mau gitu? Yang sudah bengkoknya aja nih.
Keras. Ini beneran keras banget sumpah.
Damn, she bent that whole with that. What's them things called, a sigh? Yeah, I'm like, man, I would not want to go up against her, bro. You know, I feel sorry for the dude that ever tries her. You know, like over the weekend there was this chick, this Ukrainian chick. She got stabbed, and some dude stabbed her and stuff like that. And I'll be hearing other women get attacked and stuff like that. Imagine these attackers bump into her, man. I would kind of feel sorry for them because they don't know what they're gonna get into. But shit, that's vigorous training that she does, man. Like this chick, she like I remember one video I showcased where she get some dude hits her with the hammer with a fist. And I'm like, wow, that's insane. Like what kind of training do she have? But I don't know.
I keep getting this comment, so I will address it. This is what I looked like before bodybuilding. As you can see, not much to look at, kind of the skinny fat, not really any muscular musculature, muscular tone. The full backstory on me is that I've always wanted to be a bodybuilder ever since I was a kid. I wanted to be a fitness instructor, a personal trainer. I wanted to be in the gym. My whole fitness journey started with my grandma as my first gym partner. When I was like 14, I think, and I was allowed to get a gym membership with parental supervision. My grandma would take me to the gym for 5:30 a.m. spin classes and an aerobic weightlifting class called power class. Even though it wasn't competitive, I was always competing with the old lady next to me. I was always active. I was a snowboarder. I lived in Vernon, BC, so I was always up at Silver Star. So I was still living an active lifestyle, but I didn't compete in any sports. I wasn't allowed to as a kid. That's another story. When I moved to the island, I eventually found CrossFit, and that's where I learned how to squat. CrossFit is actually what sparked my sort of competitive side in things. I loved CrossFit for the camaraderie of everything, but I hated running. It wasn't for me. I got shin splints, I was too fat, it wasn't a thing for me. But I loved the Olympic weightlifting part, so I kind of leaned into that a little bit more. And then once that wasn't enough, I went to powerlifting because I just wanted to be stupid strong. And then when powerlifting was way too boring because it's only 3 movements, I then moved to a more bodybuilding lifestyle. But I was coupling the bodybuilding lifestyle with partying, so it didn't really count. I was young. I was taking nothing seriously. From the age of like 16 to 20, then in January 2020, I decided to basically say yes to a coach. He wrote me a training plan and a diet plan, and I haven't looked back. After my first off season with a different coach, and then going into a prep, about 10 weeks, my coach basically just had a really serious conversation with me, and he's like, listen, I don't think you're gonna be shredded enough for physique, but you have the shape for figure. So I kind of pushed back a little bit because I was like, I don't want to wear heels. I want to do a routine. I just want to be big, but that just wasn't in the cards for me. So he eventually encouraged me to get a set of heels and do figure posing, and then it came to life. I saw my check-in photos and I was like, sir, you might be onto something. That's what I did. I competed at the Vancouver Island Showdown. This was my trophy, and I got the figure overall. I won the show, which was entirely to my surprise because when I got backstage for the first time, I looked around at the women around me and I was like, I have no business being here. And I ripped a strip off of my coach because I told him not to let me go on stage unless I was ready. Sure as shit, I won the show. Since I won the overall, I was told that I could go to a pro amateur show, which means that I could compete for my pro card, which was the goal. It still is the goal. Next available show to make that happen was the Van Pro-Am. At my first pro amateur show, I won my class. At the overall round, I got my ass handed to me by someone incredibly deserving of her pro card. This last summer, I competed at the same show again, but there was some wild competition out there. Like, my God, an honor to step on stage with all of them, but like, damn, like it was humbling. But I still got this. but I backstepped a little bit. I got second place in my class, so I didn't even make it to the overall round. Which is totes fine because this prep was a mess. It was a total mess, but that's another video. Anyways, that's my bodybuilding career in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed.
Well, I hope you get back to the horse again. I mean, bodybuilding is not very easy, and she's doing figure. She got to do them poses. She gonna walk in heels, all that type of stuff, and you know, yeah. I mean, imagine you having a relationship with her. Like just yeah, like you gotta. I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be in a relationship with a bodybuilder. I mean, close ups I've got connected with a bodybuilder, like doing interviews and having sessions with them. And that's it. Some of them, not all of them. But yeah, I mean, it's not a very easy sport, to even understand, you know. Like there's some bodybuilders that, they didn't have no athletic background and they for health benefits, they just did it and they just got addicted to it. So yeah, but I mean, like, I would love to interview her. Yeah, I've seen her on TikTok a lot of times and stuff. Her videos and stuff like that. So I'll check to see if she got like an Instagram. But yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Yeah, if you like this video, give me a like. Yeah, what's your comments on it? Would you date a female bodybuilder? And yeah, that's about it. See y'all later.